Spider-Man didn't just beat Supergirl at the box office. He exposed a problem Hollywood has been trying to ignore. One movie arrived in theaters after years of superhero fatigue and turned into a phenomenon. The other was supposed to introduce a major new chapter of DC's rebooted universe, and instead became one of the year's biggest warning signs. And the numbers are brutal. Supergirl opened to roughly $37 million domestically and about $68 million worldwide, despite a reported production budget around $170 million before marketing. It ultimately struggled to approach $200 million worldwide. Spider-Man, Brand New Day, meanwhile, crossed $1 billion in only 6 days and has now passed $2 billion worldwide, becoming the second fastest film ever to reach that milestone behind Avengers Endgame. So what happened? The obvious answer is that Spider-Man is more popular than Supergirl. But that is only the beginning. Because if popularity alone explained this, DC would never have had billion-dollar Batman movies. Wonder Woman would never have exploded in 2017, and characters such as Ant-Man or Guardians of the Galaxy would never have become global brands. The real difference is something much more valuable: audience trust. When people bought a ticket for Brand New Day, they weren't simply buying a superhero movie. They were buying another chapter of a character they already knew, played by Tom Holland, inside a franchise that had spent years building emotional investment. Peter Parker did not need an introduction. And that difference became enormous. Brand New Day also arrived with a strange advantage: scarcity. The superhero genre had spent years flooding audiences with content. Marvel released film after film, Disney Plus series multiplied, DC repeatedly rebooted itself, and audiences began asking the same question: why should I go to the theater for this one? Spider-Man had an answer: because this felt like an event. The film is Tom Holland's fourth solo Spider-Man movie, and it follows the enormous cultural impact of No Way Home. That previous film brought together Holland's Spider-Man with earlier versions played by Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, turning nostalgia into one of the biggest theatrical experiences of the post-pandemic era. Brand New Day didn't need to recreate that exact trick. It inherited the expectation, and Sony and Marvel understood something important. Audiences don't necessarily need a brand new concept. Sometimes they simply want another great reason to spend 2.5 hours with a character they already love. The marketing helped create that feeling. Every trailer, poster, and promotional appearance reminded viewers that this was not some obscure corner of the MCU. This was Spider-Man, Tom Holland, Zendaya, new threats, a new chapter, and, crucially, the movie still felt connected to the larger Marvel ecosystem without requiring audiences to complete a homework assignment before buying a ticket. That matters because one of the biggest problems facing superhero cinema has been homework fatigue. A casual viewer should not need to watch 6 Disney Plus shows, 3 movies, and a YouTube explanation before understanding why the hero is standing in a particular room. Spider-Man has become unusually resistant to that problem. You can know almost nothing about the latest Marvel storyline and still understand Peter Parker. He's a young man trying to balance responsibility, relationships, and ordinary life with extraordinary power. That emotional engine is incredibly portable. Supergirl had a much harder challenge. Millie Alcock was not the problem. In fact, one of the uncomfortable truths about the movie is that many reviews found her performance charismatic. The film itself was not universally hated. Some critics described it as entertaining and energetic. But pretty good is no longer enough for a $170 million superhero movie, especially one arriving in an oversaturated market. Supergirl opened with about $38 million domestically and earned a B cinema score. More importantly, reports indicated that the movie struggled to attract the very Gen Z female audience it was designed to reach. That is a devastating problem, because a studio can survive mixed reviews if the target audience turns up. It can survive a confusing premise if people are curious. But when the people in the movie was supposedly built for don't buy tickets, the marketing strategy has failed before the second weekend even begins. And then there was another problem. Supergirl was being asked to carry the weight of the new DC universe far earlier than the character had earned it. Superman had already established the reboot. Supergirl was supposed to expand it, but audiences had barely gotten to know this version of Kara before being asked to invest in her own enormous cosmic adventure. That's a very different proposition from Spider-Man. Peter Parker has been culturally embedded for generations. Kara needed the movie to convince people that this particular version was worth following. And the trailers may not have helped. critics pointed out that much of the plot was heavily telegraphed in the marketing, reducing curiosity rather than increasing it. There are also reports of creative differences surrounding director Craig Gillespie and James Gunn's vision for the film. That doesn't mean those disagreements caused the box office collapse, but it illustrates the larger problem. The movie had to satisfy studio plans, establish a new universe, introduce a new hero, appeal to younger audiences, and stand out in a crowded superhero marketplace. That's a lot of weight for one film. Then the internet made everything worse. Supergirl became a target of online culture war attacks before and around release, with some commentators framing the film through arguments about wokeness, feminism, and the character's politics. But here's the part that matters. Those controversies were loud. They weren't necessarily large enough to explain the box office. There's a temptation to blame every superhero failure on political backlash because it makes the story cleaner. But the evidence points to a much messier combination. Weak opening interest, mixed audience response, superhero fatigue, marketing problems, and a character that did not yet have the same theatrical pull as Batman, Superman, or Spider-Man. And then came the second weekend problem. A movie that opens softly needs strong word of mouth. Supergirl didn't get it. The film suffered a severe drop, turning a disappointing opening into a genuine box office crisis. That is where the contrast with Spider-Man becomes almost absurd. Brand New Day didn't merely survive its opening. It accelerated. The movie passed $1 billion in 6 days. Then it crossed $2 billion after only 3 weekends, becoming only the 8th film in history to reach that figure and the second fastest after Endgame. It has also become Sony's highest-grossing movie. That's not normal superhero performance. That's franchise power. But there is another reason Spider-Man won. He is emotionally recognizable even when the spectacle changes. The character has been rebooted multiple times. Tobey Maguire played him. Andrew Garfield played him. Tom Holland plays him. Different universes, different supporting characters, different tones, and audiences keep coming back. That means Spider-Man isn't dependent on one continuity. He is the continuity. Supergirl has never had that kind of theatrical cultural footprint. The character is famous, absolutely, but famous is not the same as, I need to see this opening weekend. That distinction is where billions are made. There is also a fascinating lesson in the failure of superhero fatigue itself. Maybe audiences were never tired of superheroes. Maybe they were tired of being given reasons not to care. Spider-Man gave him a reason. Supergirl didn't give enough people one. And this is why the results should worry DC more than it embarrasses Millie Alcock. The problem isn't that Supergirl is a woman. It isn't that the movie was too different. And it isn't simply that audiences hate DC. The problem is that the studio hasn't yet built the same automatic theatrical urgency around its newer characters. Superman can help. Batman can help. But eventually, DC needs audiences to look at a character they've never loved on screen and think, I have to see this. Marvel did that with Guardians of the Galaxy. Sony did it with Spider-Man decades ago. DC has to do it again. And there's one final twist. Supergirl may not actually be a terrible movie. That might be the most important lesson of all. The film can be decent and still lose money. Because blockbuster economics don't reward decent. A movie with a $170 million production budget, massive marketing costs, and franchise expectations needs to feel essential. Spider-Man felt essential. Supergirl felt optional. That is the gap. And right now, the superhero box office isn't proving that audiences have abandoned capes. It's proving that they have become selective. They will still spend billions, but only when they believe the movie is worth leaving the house for. Spider-Man understood that. Supergirl arrived before DC had convinced enough people to care. And that's why one hero is swimming in billions while the other is being used as a warning about what happens when a studio mistakes a famous character for a guaranteed audience.